This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Thursday, April 23. Barbados's COVID-19 curfew directives are fully enforceable in law, so says Attorney General Dale Marshall in response to criticisms leveled by Magistrate Graveney Bannister on Wednesday. Bannister said the law was badly drafted as he dealt with the case of a teenager who pleaded not guilty to the charge of breaching the emergency management COVID-19 curfew on April 21 by being outdoors at 3 p.m. without a reasonable excuse when there was a directive imposed on the island requiring every person to remain indoors between specific hours. Marshall, who chided the judicial officer for trespassing on matters that are for the executive and the legislature, said the magistrate's comments could lead Barbadians to doubt the validity of the directive, but he made it clear that Barbadians should not test the legal system. The Attorney General explained that there are specific provisions in the directive which speaks clearly to the fundamental rule that Barbadians are simply not to leave their residences except they are engaged in permissible activity and during the times allowed. He stressed the Royal Barbados Police Force will continue to strictly enforce the curfew, which remains in effect until May 3. In other news this Thursday, a family of 8 is counting its blessings but has been left to tally losses after a tree crashed into their home at Sobers Lane in the city. Hazel St. Louis told Barbados Today the incident occurred around 6 o'clock this morning.
I was sleeping and I heard the noise. I thought it was thunder. And then after when I come out, I ain't paying no mind, I just literally barely window, but I ain't see nothing. So then I heard my sister-in-law, my mother, and they keep a noise in the house. So then when I come out, I just see the whole tree fall down on the house. And all of the side of the house smashed up now.
A team from the Ministry of Transport and Works removed the tree, while crews from the Barbados Light and Power and Telecommunications Company restored interrupted services to the area. 3 more patients recovered from COVID-19 today and were scheduled to be released from isolation after testing negative for the viral illness twice over a 48-hour period. This moves the number of recovered patients to 30, while the number of persons still in isolation has dropped to 40. Meanwhile, of the 60 tests performed by the Best de Santos Public Health Laboratory yesterday, there were no new positive results. The number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 remains at 76. 6 persons have succumbed to the viral illness. Since testing started in Barbados on February 11, the Public Health Laboratory has conducted 1,222 tests. Meanwhile, as government ramps up its testing, Health and Wellness Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic says thousands of swabs are expected to arrive in the island soon. Earlier this week, he had disclosed there was a shortage of swabs, but in an update today, he told Barbados Today the island is in line to receive 50,000 swabs in batches. He stressed that it was critical the island increases testing to get a better understanding of how many people are infected with COVID-19.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional happenings, Jamaican health authorities are warning residents to prepare for community spread of the virus. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton told a press conference the government will implement a different management protocol when community spread begins.
252 COVID-19 cases with a tripling of positive tests in less than 2 weeks, most coming from the Alarica call center in Portmore St. Catherine, representing a spike in the numbers before that outbreak. But for Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, what Jamaicans are seeing so far may only be the tip of the iceberg. He said apart from the 1,146 people who are in isolation or quarantined at home or in government facilities, hundreds more who may have come in contact with positive cases are being sought.
In addition to the hundreds that are in quarantine or isolation, whether home or institutions, the team are in the field every day seeking to identify and to follow up with and to interrogate and to test and to collect samples of some 1,409 Jamaicans. And that number is a moving target. It increases each hour depending on the information and depending on the next confirmed case.
He described the process of tracing those persons as stressful and urged Jamaicans to play their part in minimizing the predicted community spread coming too early because of the impact it will have on the capacity of the health services to cope.
You just need to look at other countries where they have had surges, where patients cannot get ventilators, cannot get hospital beds, even in some very developed countries. And so the plan has always been to use restrictions to minimize, in the first instance, imported cases, to contain, through contact tracing, through quarantining and isolation, the threat that may present itself in terms of potential cases, and to use that time to enhance the public health infrastructure in order to deal with what would have been an inevitable scenario given the nature of this virus, where it becomes more widespread across the country.
On the international scene, the first human trial in Europe of a coronavirus vaccine has started in Oxford. 2 volunteers were injected, the first of more than 800 people recruited for the study. The vaccine was developed in under 3 months by a team at Oxford University.
Well, I'm a scientist, so of course I want to try and support science, the scientific process, whenever I can. And since I don't study viruses, I felt a bit useless these days, so I felt like this is a very easy way for me to support the cause.
It seems like the right thing to do to ensure that we can, combat this disease and get over it a lot faster.
Your family, do they know what you're up to?
Yes. So my wife is fully aware. My son has just thought that Daddy's going to work today, and I guess I am going to work for a different thing than normal.
It is hard to overstate just how important this vaccine could be if, and it's a big if, it proves to be safe and effective. It would represent science giving us the solution to the coronavirus pandemic.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.